Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, and we are already at the tail end of the championship. Round 10 is upon us. I cannot believe it. We're here at Brands Hatch in England, in the UK. It looks like a sunny day, but there are certainly going to be a lot of fireworks coming out tonight. 3 rounds left to go, and boy oh boy are the points ever so important. You can see here we're at Brands Hatch. Next round we're off to Valencia, and then we are at Silverstone for the final round. But it's a very warm welcome back to the man, the myth, the legend, joining me, myself, David Christie, here in the comments box. Zapello Merioli. Good evening, my friends. This is going to be a little bit spicy tonight. We heard some big words last week.
Yeah, look, I think the excitement of what Spa gave us, or is that pressure, if you want to call it like that, got to the drivers a bit in the end. So I think a lot of drivers have a point to prove today. I think it's going to be a good race. I'm looking forward to a good race, something interesting, something a bit fresh, but I think we're going to see kind of the usual battles around the track, but I think this track presents itself to long battles, so we might see groups stick with each other for quite a while tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking we're going to have as well. But either way, 60 minutes around the clock here at Brands Hatch. A lot of scores to settle, a lot of points on the board. And certainly with this track being a wonderful 2.4 miles in length, the Grand Prix circuit is what we've got tonight. George Boothby, you can see there, top of the standings ahead of Grandes Caracas. Noah Ader with the big words last week about George Boothby. Certainly no love lost between those two in the championship. Valentin Barry in 4th, Marco Bischoff in 5th, Tommy Rozier, Carrie letting in Philip Menard, who we believe is no longer taking part in the championship. We certainly can't see him out there tonight. He needs to get a move on. 688 points is the lead score for George Boothby. Just now he's the man to beat, but with over 100 points on offer for every single round for the winner, 102 points to be exact, there is still everything to play for. One round could change absolutely everything in the course of the run-up to the finals. But there we go, that is the championship standings. And I guess now all that's left to do is to bring us up to speed with what happened over at round 9 last time out at Spa. And right at the front, leading the pack off is George Boothby. Alongside him is going to be Sakari Lehtinen then on 2nd position. And in row 2, 3rd position goes to Cody Sherrick. Boothby hands the line here. Sakari Lehtinen gets a great jump though. They're side by side as they're coming through Eau Rouge and Radion. And Sakari Lehtinen takes the lead. And again, George Boothby with a very, very, very reserved start here. Almost like he is nursing those tyres and making sure he can get the best of them. Although we see Tommy Rozier getting a little bit of a nibble there from Sasha Vassner, who tries to go around the outside into the final corner there. Very, very opportunistic. Beautiful move there from Sasha Vassner. You've got Rochelle trying to make a move 3 wide into the corner. What do you think is going to happen? Of course there's going to be contact there, doing everything they possibly can. And the great thing is he's using those Genisus Risk cars who are tripping up over themselves and unfortunately shown into the gravel. Well, I'll take everything that was about to say about Sasha Vassner and just firmly put it in the bins. Let's have a look at what happened then with Lehtinen. This is on the entry to Lecombe, on the exit of the Kemmel Straight, and no, that's it. He's done the move there. Looks like a little bit of a nibble there from the Ferrari. This is coming through Lafagna, and well, you're not going to get away with that. Simone Seminara, he's trying desperately to get this position. He's going to have to watch out, because here comes Luke Addison on an absolute charge. Got the overspeed as they come through Kirkpaul Friere through into Blanchimont. That's an amazing bit of work there from Luke Addison. And then they come up to this final chicane, a little bit of contact, clip of the curb at Blanchimont there. I'll tell you what, they are brave boys out there doing this stuff tonight, because it is getting very, very rowdy, and I'll be honest, I'm loving it.
So we will see another battle heading into the braking zone, but key to focus on here, is Lovering, who was looking, thought they had the inside line there, but not close enough to make a move. But again, we see a bit of contact between Simone Seminara and Luke Addison. Is that once they're in front, they maintain the speed. As we look at Grantas Caracas pulling the move on Sakari Lettinen down the braking zone, getting it very, very early done into the braking of Lekum. So a brilliant move from Grantas Caracas.
Abe Santima, though, trying to go around the outside, gets the run through the outside. But again, Dennis Feetshork is going to have the inside line. Can we see a drive through the outside here? Santima almost had it. Does he have it going into that double right-hander? He does. A little bit to fisticuffs. There comes Noah Ader as well. Sent it up into La Source, and Noah Ader now up into P3. What's happened with his car as we go side by side? Tommy Rozier and Abe Santima coming through Bruel. And that is going to be Santima up the inside to take 8th position from Tommy Rozier to turn 1 into La Source.
That's a brilliant exit.
Absolutely got the snapback there on the La Source there, got the cutback, and I was away looking at the timing there, saw that he got that absolute belter of a cutback. We've only got 15 minutes left, and what a move from Noah Ader. He tries to stick the move out. I was in the middle of a sentence as they come along side by side. Could Caracas have taken the opportunity? He has. He moves to the inside into Lecum, and now we've got a proper battle here.
But their position coming back, but I think George Boothby is slightly ahead as they head into Eau Rouge. Noah Ader maximizing on that fight, trying to find position. They head down the inside. They seem to have the momentum, so everyone is under pressure. Grantas Caracas currently in front, George Boothby in 3rd place as it stands, but Noah Ader is looking ominous, and it was 3 breast for a bit. Noah Ader right in front, a nose ahead. How will they get the switch around? And Noah Ader is in 1st position, but Grantas Caracas is not letting that go. As they head, George Boothby going down the inside. We have 3 abreast heading into Bruel, who's brave on the brakes. There's some contact. George Boothby holding that car control, and here is Sakari Lettinen joining, and Samir Forge is not far behind. So now we have a 5-way battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen, from Grantas Caracas, and I am sure Grantas Caracas will be looking for that move heading into the bus stop. Nose to tail practically at this point as they pull out for a bit onto the brakes. Round the outside, will they be able to hold that line? They've got the inside line here, so Grantas Caracas gets ahead, and they are in P1, and now it is George Boothby who has to put the pressure.
What a win it's been for Grantas Caracas. 2nd place in the championship. It's going to be 2nd place for George Boothby, 3rd place for Noah Ader, 4th place for Sakari Lettinen, Fortune Faith, Cody Sheraton 6th, and a huge thank you to our stewards and our volunteers behind the scene for all of the work that they do, making this championship run so smoothly. So there we go. That is the thrills and spills from round 9 at Spa. But here we go, back to qualify then, and straight into the thick of it. George Boothby in pole position, 122.040. And of course this GP circuit here offers a wealth of trials and tribulations, of bends, of twists and turns, and a nice big long straightaway along the back there. You can see that right in the middle of the circuit, coming over Pilgrim's Drop, right on the exit of Surtees. And a very, very awesome circuit to take part in. Nonetheless, it's Dennis Feetshork up there in P2. That's a turn up for the books. Let's have a look at the championship contenders then. Noah Ader down there in 7th position. Grantas Caracas in 4th position here to Pello, and I get the feeling that we're away to have some big hitters. As there you go, George Boothby 121.977. But this is it now. This is really the last gasp for a lot of these drivers.
Look, a lot of these drivers have been kind of holding it together, having that last push, that final lap at the end. So we'll see who's confident. I see a lot of drivers already in the pits, so we might not get that big shock, but maybe they've kind of saving themselves for the race. You know, we've seen a lot of guys have really good starts in races. You know, we've spoken about it. The Noah Aders, he's kind of made up a lot of positions at the start of races. You know, Valentin Berrier usually starts mid-pack, but then he holds throughout the race. So we should see kind of the first 20 minutes how it pans out, but let's see. And there we go, Grantis Caracas, as we're talking about drivers being confident right at the end to get that final push lap in, and he goes pole. So there you go. That's the confidence that a lot of these drivers have been looking for, and that ease with which they can get that final lap in.
But remember, that's provisional, because George Boothby snuck in with 2 seconds to go on the clock to get his pole lap. Oh, that was so very close to binning that lap there. I think he just got away with it. He's coming through that final right-hander then. This is coming through Clark Curve on the run up to Brabham straight here. It's a big push here. Does he have 5/100ths of a second in the tank? He does! George Boothby returns to the top step of the podium. 2 laps in a row. Oh my goodness me. The shots fired between George Boothby and Grantis Caracas then, and we have got a race on our hands there. Well, I mean, we normally see it left to the last 5 minutes of qualifying there, Tapelo, but that was absolutely nuts. I mean, fair play to Grantis Caracas, able to, you know, fire a shot back at George Boothby after he put in that pole time, but then immediately outdone by Boothby again.
Yeah, once again, the confidence with which these guys are performing with at this moment, I just have to say, I think it's time for the popcorn. The ladies and gentlemen that are watching this race, it's time to open that bag of popcorn, because if that's what we got at the end of qualifying, then the start of this race is going to be something spectacular.
Yeah, it really, really is. Only 19 cars taking part with 3 races still to go. That's still a respectable number for a 12-race season. Either way, on the front row of the grid, George Boothby in the 800 Ferrari is going to be alongside championship contender Grantis Caracas. The two of them going toe-to-toe as they head down into Paddock Hill Bend. This is going to be an absolute banger, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis Feetshort is on row 2, and he is going to be alongside Tariq Adam. It's McLaren versus Ferrari. Abe Santima leads out on row 3 alongside Tommy Rozier, and then it is the other one of many championship contenders, Noah Ader, in 7th position, leading out on row 4. He is going to be alongside Luke Addison in his Ferrari. Ronaldo Boersma, what a performance to get up in the P9. First time I believe Ronaldo's been up in the top 10 this season, in 9th position alongside Valentin Barry. As always, we say watch out for that Aston Martin. Isn't the greatest on qualifying pace, but my goodness me, always seems to find a way of cutting through the crowd. Sakari Lehtinen leads off on row 6 in 11th position in the Honda, and then it's Noel Hache in the number 4 McLaren in 12th position. On row 7 is Albin Manson, and then alongside is Sasha Vassner in the 307 Merc. Row 8 is going to be Christian Duploy and Jonathan Clifford alongside him. 17th and 18th on the grid, Samir Foch alongside David Hill, and then 19th and 20th, we do have 20 cars actually there, is going to be Roland Stein and Skylar Loverink. So there we go, 20 cars, great to see. And Tapelo, you were saying we just needed one more. All we needed was one more to make it up to that even number, and it looks like you've got your wish.
Yeah, I think my luck has just been turning, so now it's time to throw in whatever you guys want to see. I'll start to call it in. Do you want to see a car fly? Do you want to see an unexpected winner? Call it in now. I'll put it in commentary, and then we might have something happen during the race. Oh,
hang on. I think you should be careful what you ask for there, Tapelo. See the car fly here at Brands Hatch. I think you might get your wish in a way that you could never possibly imagine here. But 30 seconds left to go for the drivers at the moment. You can see some of the cars hovering in mid-air. For those brand new to Assetto Corsa Competizione, what that is the drivers are in their setup menu. They're doing changes to, say, the suspension, to the fuel level, to the tyres that they've got in the car. That's why you can see it up in the air, and of course it goes to one side because it's actually a banked start finish straight here at Brands Hatch. Hell of an incline going from right to left. You can see there the uphill nature from the start. They go in the formation lap then with 3 rounds left to go in the championship. 2 Ferraris lead off the field, although they eventually get going here as Dennis Feetshort and Tariq Adam get underway as well. Of course, all of them want to let the cars in front get away from them so they can do a little practice start as they make their way around Paddock Hill Bend. So a really, really nice circuit here, Brands Hatch. Tapello, in the heart of Kent, in England. Again, very privileged to have actually visited it. Not one that I've driven myself, but either way, it's a really, really nice place.
Yeah, look, I think from a South African standpoint, and I realized this when I went to the track for the first time, we have a local track in Pretoria called Swartbops. It has a very, very identical, almost corner for corner layout to Brands Hatch. So that's the closest comparison I'd have to the layout of the two circuits. But I'm just focusing on the drivers, and we have Tommy Rizia in P6. Now, if you look at the previous race and the race before, Tommy Rizia is kind of on form, actually. Different kind of pace, very good qualifying performance, and very good in races. So I think that's going to be the wild card for today's race. If they're not going to go up, they're just going to cause a lot of disturbances and put a lot of drivers under pressure. So Tommy Rizia might be the other guy to watch for tonight's race, just thinking on who's been on form, who's driving brilliantly at the moment.
For sure. And that is the joy of these races. Remember, it's a 60-minute race that we've got here tonight. We were treated to a 90-minute race out at Spa last time, but the drivers making their way round towards the final section of the circuit. This is coming through Westfield Bend, and they're going to be hitting through Dingle Dell just now, and then into Sheens before heading over into that left-hander at Stirling. So it's a real blink and you miss it section here. Watch for quite a few cars getting it wrong on the exit of Sheens, possibly dipping a toe into the grass there, and that's when they start to spin. But either way, 60 minutes of Brands Hatch is just about upon us here. George Boothby alongside Grantis Caracas leading off a field of 20 cars. David Christie and Tapello Merioli here with you on commentary for the remainder of the race. Very, very happy to have you alongside us here tonight for round 10 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. It all builds up to a crescendo. What is going to happen to the championship? What answers are we going to have given to us in the next hour? That's what we're waiting to see. Is it going to be George Boothby? Is it going to be Grant Caracas? Tariq Adam? Are we going to get Dennis Wietschork up on the top step? Let's find out. 60 minutes underway. The green flag flies. And that is going to be Grant Caracas trying to go around the outside, but Boothby has the inside line, and Caracas gets absolutely muntered. I believe that was Dennis Wietschork there that went right into the back of Grantis Caracas, and that is absolutely huge. That was definitely one of the black McLarens there, and I do believe, like I say, that was Dennis Wietschork that just went into the inside of that car there. That's almost certainly going to be a penalty. You've got the Honda of Sakari Lehtinen off into the background as well, and Tapello. I mean, that is huge for the championship.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that's going to happen is the stewards are already at work, already very early, turn one. But what an incident. And this is kind of what we've been touching on so far this season, right? You really want that clean getaway, lap one, turn one, avoid all the problems. But it's very rare that we see such an incident in the front too. So this has changed everything in this race. It's shaken it up. Now we have to look at who can put pressure on George Boothby, because this might give him the best opportunity to just run away with this race if Grantis Caracas is already, dare I say, out of contention for the race win and possible podium position. So this is huge ramifications for the championship, huge ramifications for the final remainder of this race.
Well, I tell you who's had an absolute blinder of a start there. You can see there Skylar Lovering up to P13, I believe. You can see that Ferrari just in the background there. That's an amazing turn of events. 14th position, so not quite there, just behind, but it slips up the inside there. That is going to be P13. As you can see, when the McLaren's firing off into the background as well there. There is Grantis Caracas just moving up the inside, so the recovery drive starts now. If anything, if you're going to have a moment, you kind of want to have it happen, on that first lap, so you get a decent chance of recovering that pace that's there. The rest of the cars are all still within him. He's as close now as he's ever going to be. Yes, he's about 8 seconds back on the leader, but he's got a lot to work with here as we get a replay then of that race start. So he's on the outside here, and it's far too late, far too late there from Dennis Wietschork there, and Look, that's just it's just an error. That's all it is. It's not a malicious mistake there, but it is a mistake there, and fortunately, that has cost quite dearly for Grantis Caracas, and we'll see how that car is able to return. But either way, George Boothby in the lead of the race. Abe Santima somehow all the way back up to second position. Noah Ader in third position now. Luke Addison in fourth. Dennis Vichork in fifth. Tommy Rozier in sixth. And that man, Valentin Barry, I did say keep an eye on him, up to P7. Ronaldo Bursma in P8. Alvin Morrison in P9. And Sasha Lassner into P10. We've only had a lap and a half here, and already, oh my goodness me, you get the feeling that there's a little bit of fisticuffs coming after this.
Yeah, look, what was that movie that came out? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? I think that was the name. I think that's what happened in that opening lap and a half. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. We had excellent starts. We've had contact. I think we need a steady pace for the next two laps. Have everything settled down, but already you can start to see who's confident, who's not, just in how they take these turns. Because the tricky thing about this circuit is you kind of want to commit in terms of your mid-corner pace, but it's very easy to go wide on the exit. So already seeing Tariq Adams falling down to P11, I think it was more just to avoid things from happening. But as we ride with Grantis Caracas, what usually tends to happen in this kind of situation, and this is what I've noticed, David, maybe you'll have a differing opinion, is a lot of drivers who kind of have an incident in lap one actually do tend to have good recovery races, simply because that changes their mindset and they know that they just need to attack for the rest of the race. So they never have that period of cooling off and maintaining. It's always attacking, and somehow they do end up, sometimes they even finish in the top 10 and get a good haul of points from a somewhat terrible start to a race.
And a half from Grantis Caracas. Coming back to your point, absolutely agree. It leaves him with a bit between the teeth, and there's fisticuffs here between Samir Foch and Grantis Caracas there. Foch rightfully feeling a little bit hard done by after that late move by Caracas into turn one there, but Caracas gets the position, and I'll tell you what, we were talking about that lap one incident for Dennis Vichork. He has been absolutely smashed by race control. 25 seconds worth of penalties there, extra penalty given because it all happens on lap one. So there's, you get time going against you, but then you get an extra little bit of time penalty because it's on lap one to discourage all of the action going on there. So unbelievable to see that 25 seconds, and again it does just show how quickly things can go wrong, because essentially that's going to come to haunt them with these mandatory pit stops that we have in the race here. That will have a massive effect on Wheatshot, and almost certainly take them out of the top 10.
Yeah, most definitely. And what we've seen so far in the past 3 or 4 races is just how critical the pit stops have been. It's been all about... Oh, and Dennis Vichork is in the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, he is in the gravel. He's in the wall, so we'll try and get a replay of that. But I just saw it as we switched. As we go back on circuit, we'll come back to that as we have the battle here between Albin Manson, Sasha Vassner, and... who's that? Ronaldo Bursma. A good challenge. We're starting to see those little groups develop. We're starting to see 3 cars in a battle of their own, and this might slow them down, but I think they do have sufficient pace to kind of keep up. They're not losing too much time to Valentin Berrier in front, but it's also about being considered. You do not want to fight. 53 minutes left of this race. You do not want to fight too hard. And here we see the replay with Dennis Vichork. So he's got the inside line. I just think they couldn't get their braking right. I
don't think it's that at all, to Phil.
I don't know what happened there.
I think somebody's thrown their toys out the pram at getting that 25-second penalty. I'll happily say that's my personal opinion, but that's exactly what it looked like. That car deciding that he's going to park it. He knows that it's not going to get anything out of this race tonight. And, well, unfortunately, them's the rules. There was nothing overly harsh, I think, about that penalty that was given out. It was for 2 separate incidents. There was the first one where he ended up taking out that Ferrari of Grantis Caracas, and he ended up getting 15 seconds for that. It would have been a 10-second penalty, but it was extra 5 seconds for lap 1, and then he got another 10-second penalty there for bumping the number 30 off track as well. That was Sakari Lehtinen. That was actually, we saw Sakari Lehtinen wide at Graham Hill Bend, so that's what caused that then, and unfortunately that is it. So that could be huge in terms of the championship, but well, either way we'll just have to wait and see. 52 minutes left to go, and already Tapilla, we've had a very eventful 10 minutes.
Yeah, like I said, everything everywhere all at once, right? But look, we're kind of looking for those kind of races now, right? We've actually been talking about this so far in the season, that we've had starts that have been very cautious. We've had drivers that have kind of had a measured start to the race, kind of thinking, where do I want to end up? How long is the race? A measured start. But today we've kind of seen elbows out, a bit of aggression, a bit of edge to how they're driving, trying to get in position. And as we see here with Tariq Adam, looking like they have the pace to get past Sasha Vasner, but it's really about that consistent pressure. One thing we've started to see, ladies and gentlemen, with how these drivers are going about their moves, is they've started setting up moves from laps ahead. So you'll find the driver kind of setting up an overtake for 2 laps, trying to put in that pressure, trying to find their rhythm, get close enough that if there's a mistake, or if there's just something like someone going slightly offline, then they can capitalize and move in. So they're kind of now racing with that, let's do the long haul thing, 2-3 laps to set up a move and then get it done, and then start to try and pull away.
Yeah, with that in mind as well, what I've also noticed is the fact that George Boothby is another one that's decided to pull away, 2.7 seconds ahead. We've said this time and time again. We noticed that Boothby was kind of struggling over the past weeks, and that was because he was starting from second or third position. And what we noticed earlier on in the season is that if he gets out in front in that first lap or two, then he gets to streak away into the sunset and into the distance. And realistically, there's not much that's going to happen now. For us, what we've got to watch is Grant Caracas doing this recovery drive, because every place that he gets, every position that he gets, is going to give him more points or he's going to lessen the amount of points that gets taken off of him in terms of that first moment. As we see Tariq Adam firing up the inside there of Sasha Vasner. Vasner trying to go again round the outside, but Tariq Adam has got that done. And that is going to be a move for position. So Tariq Adam up into P9, and that Mercedes relegated down to 10th position. Looking a little bit further up as well, Valentin Barrier up into P6 as Sakari Lehtinen does a little bit of power sliding round the corner with the Honda. And that's going to be another position for Samir Forch. So up the inside, that number 2 says thank you very much, and up into 14th position. So we've still got one mandatory pit stop that the drivers have to do. Remember, they will have to take on fuel and tyres as well. And when that does kick in, when that does happen, I think that we're going to see the real strategy come out here. Remember, it'll be opens at around about 40 minutes left to go, and then it ends with about 20 minutes left to go. And thankfully, we've not seen anybody falling foul of the pit stop window so far, but yeah, stranger things have happened. And Apes and Tima under a lot of pressure here from Noah Ader to Pello.
Yeah, and Noah Ader has been knocking on the podium once again, and I think we've mentioned this throughout the whole season. They're missing that race win. They've been on the podium multiple times, P3, P2, and they've also spoken about just how much they want that race win. But as we see, just going back further down, Tariq Adam now in P8, so slowly making those gains and looking really confident as they try and move through the pack is Tariq Adam, who has kind of yet to hit the heights, dare I say, of the second half of season 1. But this is a very, very inspiring drive from Tariq Adam. Good to see him kind of confident on a circuit and trying to get that pace in and getting those overtakes done. But yes, looking at the front again, Noah Ader putting on pressure. A P2 finish for Noah Ader would be brilliant in this kind of race. We've kind of spoken about the threat for a podium that was Grantis Caracas, who's, because of the unfortunate start, has moved off. So it's now really about all the other drivers trying to pick up those pieces and getting as much points as possible, because as you mentioned in the beginning, David, this championship is tight and we are looking possibly at a situation where we're really going down to the last race before we can crown a winner.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, as it stands, with George Boothby taking maximum points tonight here, that is going to be a huge bump in points that he'll get. He'll be up to 790 points if this is the way that the race goes. And certainly, there doesn't look like anybody in this race that has the pace that he has right now. He last did say 122.5. And realistically, yeah, I can't see anybody else on the track, with the exception of Grantis Caracas. But unfortunately, he is way down in 11th position, right on the back of Sasha Vassner and Albin Manson. So, I mean, with what happens on that lap one, top 10, very respectable. I've got no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that we're going to see Grantis Caracas trying to get into the top 5. My question is, and I know this is massively outlandish, I think that Grantis Caracas can still get a podium here.
Confident, very, very confident, Mr. Christie. But you know what? At this point of the season, why not? You know, Grantis Caracas has shown impressive race pace throughout the past 3 or 4 races, and we've seen their racecraft as well in how they've tried to battle with George Boothby out in front, and just how they've secured podiums, as we saw last week in Spa. A lot of racing IQ, a lot of driving skill. So I also, dare I say, why not? Grantis Caracas is already looking confident. 45 minutes to go and they're already in P11, and we haven't even touched the mandatory pit stop. So if they can get their pace right, maybe get ahead of these 2 cars in the form of Sasha Vassner and Albin Manson, and then get that pit stop right, I mean, a podium is within shout. Just depends on how the race pans out. But with this level of pace, just how quickly they've kind of clawed the positions back, it's all about not letting these guys keep him up for long, and then he can start to push and try get to that podium position.
Yeah, the thing is the more pressure that he's putting onto Sasha Vassner, it's still catching him out. But this could be it then, as they come out of the corner in through Pilgrim's Drop. A little look there from Grantis Caracas, but he's not convinced. He's not too confident in making that happen on the move on Sasha Vassner. With 45 minutes left to go, there's still plenty of time to make this work, but yeah, a little bit of hesitation there from Grantis Caracas coming through Hawthorne Bends, and I've not really seen that so far. But again, you've got Albin Manson just up in the front, you've got Tariq Adam in there as well, you've also got Ronaldo Boersma. So realistically, I mean, within 5-10 laps here, we could be up to P6 onto the back of Valentin Barrier.
Yeah, and as you can see, they're just breaking into clockcraft turn 9. They actually made a good advancement into getting closer to Sasha Vassner again. But one thing I'm liking from just riding on board with Grantis Caracas and just how they're choosing to drive this recovery so far. You've mentioned it, David, that if they're not confident, what you can see is if he's not confident of going for the move, if he's not confident that he can get the placement right, he'd rather sit back, try into the next corner. And I think sometimes that's something that racers kind of miss when they're trying to do the recovery drive, is the desperation to get back to the top means you often force a move or you go too risky, and then you end up in another incident. So I kind of like the, dare I say, the patience and composure that Grantis Caracas is showing so far. If it's not there, it's not there. Be patient, try again. But I think at this point, looking at the level of pace and just where they're positioning that Ferrari, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when.
Racing car drivers not being patient, never to Pello. I've never known the thing. It's so common, you're absolutely right, because the pressure that you see going on them, the adrenaline kicks in and your decision making skills suddenly go out of the window, and that is what we see time and time again. But thankfully we're seeing a little bit of calm heads between Abe Santima and Noah Ader. The two of them are very, very, nicely balanced up there in second and third position. But this fight here, this is getting very interesting, especially now because you've got Ronaldo Boersma coming into, that's very, very close there from Grantis Caracas. It's a move up the inside there. That moves the Mercedes to the outside there. Vassar tries to get the cut back, but that was never ever going to happen. That was all on a mistake from Sasha Vassar coming down through the right-hander there as the car dropped away at Parrick Hill Bend, running off into the sand there, and that cost him a little bit of time. And I've got to say, I think that Grandes Caracas was very lucky there not to run into the back of that Mercedes, but thankfully gets away with it. Now, next target / next victim, Albin Manson in the 127 Mercedes, and then it's going to be Ronaldo Boersma. So before we have got half an hour to go here, just 15 minutes of a recovery drive, and it could already be up into P8. We'll wait and see here, because look at the pace that Grandes Caracas has got now. He's been released from Sasha Vassar. Gives you an idea just how much he was holding back behind that Mercedes. I think this is going to be a move into the first corner. If it's not into the last corner, I think that would be optimistic going into Clark there. Needs to get a good draw out. The Mercedes has the grunt, it has the drive coming out of that corner. Goes across the line to start lap number 13, if you can believe that, already into double digits here at Brands Hatch, the GP circuit. Caracas then lets that car just drift out ever so slightly. He's late onto the brakes again, but still pulled up behind that Merc. Tries to cut on the inside there, sees a little bit of daylight, thinks about it, but decides not to do it. But again, just in front, Ronaldo Boersma is getting caught hand over fist here. So this, Tapello, is almost certainly going to be 8th position. What a dive! Sent it up the inside. Grandes Caracas says thank you very much. That was brave. That was brave. That was bold. That was ballsy. Everything you want to say about that. Into Surtees. That was amazing.
That is what we call confidence, ladies and gentlemen. That is knowing just how far you can push your package. That is extreme confidence. But as we see here, Sakari Lettinen pushing Samir Forsh up the track. I always love these moments of extreme pressure from one driver to the next, because it is so easy to get it wrong. It is so easy to make contact. It is so easy to miss a braking zone. So when we see drivers driving like this, and that's exactly what we saw with Grandes Caracas as well, just holding and finding that perfect moment to go for that risky move. Again, we've said it once before, we're going to say it again. That's the level of skill that these drivers have shown this season, and deeper as we get into the season, has been utterly impressive to witness. And that is why I am such a huge fan of the Genisus Esports Kaizen Championship.
It's been a real treat to be part of this season 2 here for the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. It's had everything we could have possibly wanted, including a fantastic showing, it has to be said, from the Genisus Esports team here, as the pit window is open. 20 minutes to go in which they can take their mandatory fuel and tyre stop. I don't think you'll see any drivers decide to go in this early. I'd imagine it'll be at least another 3, 4, 5 laps before we start getting the pit stops and the drive-bys, purely because strategy is going to be a key thing here at Brands Hatch tonight. Here we go then, Grandes Caracas onto the back of Ronaldo Boersma, and again this is going to be very, very short work. Let's see how this goes here, because there's no overtaking points at this part. But again, onto the back of Grandes Caracas, onto the back of Ronaldo Boersma, excuse me, and the two of them coming out of that left-hander. This is the run down to Clark then. And again, Grant is just sizing up his opportunity. It's what you were saying earlier on there, Tapello, is that drivers having patience, drivers showing a patient approach is not something we're used to seeing here, but that is paying absolute dividends right now for Grandes Caracas. I do think he's going to have to get a move on, because it's now about 10 seconds, and there we go, Caracas up the inside. I'll be honest with you, I think Ronaldo Boersma knew that he wasn't going to be able to hold on to that position, and I think that is the clever move to do there, because when you've got somebody behind you that is just that damn fast, let them go. You're obviously not fighting them for pace, but you can get a little boost off them. You can hold on to the back end and get a little bit of slipstream there.
Again, seeing the development of these drivers, the race IQ, because that's something we've spoken about, particularly at the beginning of the season, that as the season wears on, drivers get a lot of experience. They start to know how to deal with the race, how to manage their pace, but also how to manage the environment around them. And we're seeing a perfect example of that from Ronaldo Boersma. you're not really in a fight with Genisus Risk. He's on a massive recovery drive. He's pushing for all he can. So let him go past, try and stick with him, get that boost from the slipstream, but you know you're not going to keep them behind. So rather not risk it, let them go past and let them run their own race. So that is racecraft and race IQ to the highest level. And that's what we like to see. Drivers that have now, they've done the driving part. They've figured out how to drive a car, which is great. That's step one, but it's now doing the small mathematics in a race. And as we see cars going into the pits now, that's Skylar Lovrink and Sakari Lehtinen. So they've opened the taps, they've opened the doors to the pit stop. So we'll see how the pit stops play out, how the strategy plays out. But for sure, we've seen drivers try and go for the overcut. But as we see, Tariq Adam on the back of Valentin Berrier. So Tariq Adam also making steady progression up the grid so far. And they are looking very, very confident. So these Ferraris look settled. And you can just see here, it is Tariq Adam pushing Valentin Berrier down the circuit. And I think he's just biding his time, trying to find that sliver of space, trying to maybe emulate the kind of moves that Genisus Risk is doing. But as you can see in the background, Genisus Risk is catching up to these two as well. So I think it is time we bring back the Jaws theme song for Genisus Risk in this race, because he is a predator and he is stalking everyone in this race.
He absolutely is, and we'll get that music on standby. He is 3.4 seconds behind these two. Tariq Adam has to look one way, then the other on Valentin Berrier down into Clark Corner just to start lap number 17. And Tariq Adam decides enough is enough. He pops into pit lane. Now, what I would say for Genisus Risk is stay out there for as long as you possibly can. You're going to get the positions off of everyone. You're faster than the majority of cars around you, as that was a little bit of a wobble there going into turn one. But if you're faster than everyone else around you, stay out there on the clear track. Let everybody else jump into the pit lane. You don't have to worry about fighting them and slowing yourself down here. I think this is potentially going to be the moment for Genisus Risk. If he plays this right with the pace here, I think he could be up to 5th position.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm inclined to agree. I don't think there's any reason whatsoever for Genisus Risk to take the pit stop now. It's really just about pushing, and they can really push it to the last seconds of this pit window. Such is the pace advantage that we're seeing from Genisus Risk and the cars around him. He can really push, and we've seen this. You know, if you watch racing a lot of the times, you'll start to see this, right? The changing strategy, just the thinking, the mathematics, and we've spoken about this, just the numbers that these drivers have to do as they're driving, being cognizant of the race, where they are, where they want to be, and how things pan out. So I think if Genisus Risk is really looking to make progression, stay out and keep going, as we see George Boothby one more time sitting there comfortably in front, doing the George Boothby thing, as we've kind of trademarked at this point, just pulling away, having really excellent pace, and just competition whatsoever. And I think this is the best situation that George Boothby could have asked for so late in the season, just to try and maximize on points, as we see Valentin Berrier in the pit lane for his mandatory pit stop. So David, kind of differing strategies. We're seeing drivers coming in, we're seeing drivers staying out. So it will be a gamble just to see which strategy works best this week. As we saw last week, the overcut worked well. No, sorry, the undercut worked well, and the week before it was the overcut that worked well. So again, might be seeing another gamble here tonight.
Well, there we go. Genisus Risk, I think, is going to get up into 5th position. In terms of the overcut and undercut, it's a strange one, because for so many weeks, like you said, the overcut seemed to be absolutely dominant. It seemed to be so powerful. And then out of nowhere, the undercut just worked so well. And those cars who decided to jump into the pits first were the ones who ended up making the most out of it. I think it's the first just now. I think the drivers who go in last are going to gain massively. And again, it'll just be a case of waiting and seeing exactly what happens here. But we'll wait to see when the cars do come back. There we go. Fabulous. Right, that was a panic there. All the cars disappeared. We're fine. We're sorted. Nothing happened there whatsoever. What was the way to say with Genisus Risk, though? He's in a absolutely golden position now to pedal, because 4.2 seconds behind Tommy Rozier and Luke Addison, right? He can just bang in hot lap after hot lap and not have to worry about cars coming out of pit lane or getting tripped up by cars.
You know, I've watched racing for a while, and I remember a lot of, you know, pit crew members and engineers saying something about Michael Schumacher. And everyone who's a Michael Schumacher fan will remember this. They used to say Michael Schumacher would go out and do 10 qualifying laps in a stint. Sometimes engineers would just tell him, just push as hard as you can. It's sort of like a qualifying session, and they do 10 fast laps. I think that's what Genisus Caracas is doing at this present moment. It's sort of an elongated qualifying session. It is really just about nothing more than pace from Genisus Caracas, as we see Tariq Adam on the back of Valentin Berrier putting a lot of pressure on that Aston Martin. But such is life, such is racing. Pressure is all about what you can do with it, how you can handle it. And what I'm liking, I'm already seeing, as we see Noah Ada going into the pit lane from position 3, and Luke Addison and Tommy Rozier coming in as well. And there's Genisus Caracas still staying out on his elongated qualifying session. All about getting those fast laps in. Keep pushing, sir, because you are about to do something really, really impressive if he can maintain this pace tonight.
Well, I mean, let's give you a little example of what we're saying here. And obviously, this is not the Genisus Caracas show here, but context is absolutely everything. Ronaldo Boersma, Sasha Vassner, Albin Manson, Samir Foch, Christian Deploy, all of those drivers are doing 123.6s to say 123.9s, right? Genisus Caracas' last lap time was a 122.8. He's catching Abe Santima by around about 0.6 of a second every single lap here. So Caracas at this stage, he is just passing people without even having to pass people right now. This is going to be monumental to see what happens when he does come into pit lane. The other thing as well is, remember, his pit stop is not going to have to be anywhere near as long, because he is staying out there and using up a little bit more fuel, which means that he's got to put in less fuel towards the end of the race here. But just over 30 minutes left to go in this round 10 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship here at Brands Hatch. And what a race we've had. George Boothby has been again in a completely different league. Nearly 8 seconds. In fact, there we go, that's because Abe Santima into the pits now. So Genisus Caracas now 16 seconds behind George Boothby. I am absolutely confident that Genisus Caracas is going to end up with a podium out of tonight's race here. It's just been an incredible performance from them, and man, this is I'm on tenterhooks here. Obviously he's not going to catch with me, the damage is done here, but we talk about recovery drives, and that's a recovery drive and a half for me.
You know, we spoke about flying cars in the beginning of this race, just as we were started, but we're seeing Genisus Caracas flying. And here we have a replay coming up of Tariq Adam. So we'll see, as we see Epson team heading out of the pit lane and back on circuit. And here's this replay. So Tariq Adam, losing the rear under braking. And that tends to happen with, especially with these mid-engine cars. When you brake hard and you move that weight to the front, the rear can just get floaty, and that's actually well held. It's a very, very tricky thing to balance a car once it starts, when it starts to fishtail around you, because it happens so quickly. Your reflexes have to be so quick to catch it while it's happening, David, and I'm sure you've been a victim of that.
Yeah, as Genisus Caracas into pit lane then, that's maybe a little bit earlier than I thought, but he's decided to get it done. Albin Manson in the pit lane as well. Also seeing that Noah Ada has done the jump then. Abe Santima up into down into third position now. Let's keep an eye on the pit stops just now. The first one we're watching for is the number 46 car. They are just coming up towards the left-hander at Stirling's just now. And oh my me, what a lot of pressure here. Wouldn't it be something if we saw Genisus Caracas come right out into the middle of this bunch? I think this might be a little bit much. But we will certainly wait and see. He's still getting the pit stop adhered to, and I think so he's not going to get second, he's not going to get third, but he might get fifth or sixth. We'll certainly wait and see. He's going to come out of pit lane. So I think, yeah, he's going to filter out around about 6th or 7th position here. And I don't think he's got anything to be too unhappy with on that one, because that was a decent pit stop. and a good little jump there.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those situations where the disadvantage of not having someone in your ear to kind of tell you and do the calculations for you, because I think from the commentary box, David, you and I were of the firm belief that Genisus Risk could have probably maintained the pace for a few more laps and try and delay that pit stop for maybe an extra 2-3 laps just to see how it can work out. But look, a pit stop is a pit stop. It's still well timed, and they've still made a significant push up the grid, and now it's kind of a 27.5-minute sprint for Genisus Risk to see how many positions they can make up now. So it's still not a terrible stop. It's still great, as we see here, Skylar Lovrink trying to push Albin Manson. So again, the battles are happening all over the circuit, and this is what we love to see. We wanted another hectic race, we wanted some pressure, we wanted battles on circuit, and that's definitely what we're getting tonight.
Certainly is. As we go back on board with Skylar Lovrink chasing down Albin Manson, who's just come out of pit lane. Sasha Vassar comes out as well, jumps into what looks like about 7th position just now. So the fight properly going on here just now. And you can see Sakari Lehtinen in the background as well. You've got your race leader George Boothby looking to try and put a lap down on all of them. He already has done on Roland Stein and the number 10 Aston Martin just now. But either way, 26 minutes left to go, and we are now counting down how the strategy is all going to pan out. Ronaldo Boersma comes into pit lane. I'd imagine Samir Foch into pit lane as well. That means that George Boothby surely is going to be into pit lane at the end of the next lap. That will put him back in contention with the likes of Noah Eder, Abe Santima, Luke Addison and Tommy Rozier as well. So Valentin Barry. So now I'm trying to figure out what is going on here, because Caracas now behind Tariq Adam, and he was ahead of Tariq Adam when he came out of the pit lane.
Yeah, maybe we might have missed a mistake or something. Maybe, missing their braking point and going a bit off circuit. But we'll try and, our producer's on this. He'll find it out and he'll tell us. But so far so good. So it seems like George Boothby is going for the really long overcut. So we'll see when they decide to pull the trigger and head into the pits. But so far so good for George Boothby, as is the case when he's in this kind of mood where he's pulling away from everyone. Noah Aiden P2, and finally George Boothby is in the pits. So this should be a fairly routine, fairly comfortable stop for George Boothby. No real pressure, just doing it as calm and cool. Kind of timed it perfectly. 5 minutes to go of the pit window. They're the last car to go in, so we know after George Boothby it's all about the pace on circuit and how many positions you can make up. Yeah,
that's what we'll be watching for indeed. And again, I'm just trying to figure out, maybe that's where Grantis came out in the pit stop there, but I was honestly expecting some big gains from him to make that happen. Certainly pace-wise, he's absolutely got it. 1:22.6 is what he's doing just now, but so is everybody else. Everybody else is on the pace with these brand new tyres. We'll see if they can last, but Boothby still in pit lane. He's just got going just now, so he'll get out, and that gap will be around about 8.5 seconds ahead of Noah Eder. So a very comfortable pit stop. Never really going to be any sort of question about it with 25 minutes left to go.
Yeah, for sure. George Boothby, aka Max Verstappen. That's what we're seeing today. Such is the performance gap that George Boothby is showing to everyone. And I think we've spoken about this as well, David, throughout the season, that a lot of drivers tend to struggle when they're this far ahead. They struggle to maintain their pace and they start to lose their pace and have drivers catching up. But that's not George Boothby. Instead, he tends to pull an even bigger gap. But as we see, riding on board Tariq Adam, who's still trying to put pressure on Valentin Barrier and his purple Aston Martin. You guys know I love that Aston Martin. So the pressure's on right now from Tariq Adam. And I think it's, again, seeing that setup of 2-3 laps to just try and get close enough to spring the surprise. But for sure, Tariq Adam is looking very, very solid in that Ferrari today. So that should be a very entertaining battle to watch on circuit between him and Valentin Barrier.
Yeah, it certainly should. So apologies about the slight pause that we've had a couple of times in the broadcast here. Obviously, a connection issue to the server, so we'll get that back out as soon as we possibly can. We saw this on the first one where it was away for around about 20 seconds, and then it suddenly jumped back into the action. So the race is still going on. I can absolutely confirm that for you. 23 minutes left to go in the session, and again, we'll bring you live coverage as soon as we possibly can. But with the final 20 minutes left to go here, Tapello, they'll be none the wiser. They'll still be racing away there. For George Boothby to go into pit lane, come back out, and still have a 10-second lead over the rest of the drivers is it's a pretty sensational effort, and it really says everything about how he can do it when he does get that lead into the first corner, because he's just off like a scalded cat.
Yeah, and the tricky thing is when people are watching that kind of performance from the likes of George Boothby, is they make it look so easy that you think, anyone can do that. Anyone can pull that kind of lead, anyone can have that kind of drive. But it is insanely difficult. I struggle to put into words how difficult it is to be that consistent, that quick, and to drive without virtually making any mistakes and being so far ahead of everyone. As we've got the live pictures back, ladies and gentlemen, and Luke Addison has just had a spin on circuit. So we will try to catch that up, but Luke Addison, we just saw the live visuals of them putting their car the right way around on circuit, so we have missed something. But as we see here, interesting, Tariq Adam has gotten past. Have they? No, they have not. Valentin Berry has just got closer to Tommy Rizzo, so he's opened the gap. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up as I'm speaking. So we're seeing that late race pace once again from Valentin Berry, which is something that's become a bit of their MO as the season has worn on. Is the last 20-25 minutes of the race, Valentin Berry just gets a second wind of pace, a second wind of speed and performance on track, and that's why we kind of seen them pulling away of Tariq Adam and getting closer to Tommy Rizzo in front.
Yeah, for sure. I am going to have to readjust my expectations here. I don't think now with 20 minutes left to go, Caracas is going to get a podium position. But I do think that he can make it all the way up to 4th position. Tommy Rozier there, certainly leading that little group of Valentin Barrier, Tariq Adam, and Grant Caracas now onto the mix as well here. I mean, it's definitely possible, but Caracas isn't a second a lap faster than Tommy was there, but stranger things have happened. A little bit further down then, outside of the top 10, 11th position, Albin Manson, 12th position is Skylar Lovrink, then Sakari Lettinen in 13th, Samir Fortune 14th, Christian Duploy in 15th, 16th is Clifford, 17th is Noel Hache, David Hill is in 18th position, and Rowan Sen is in 19th position. So this is the fight then for the top 4. Tommy Rozier leading off against Valentin Barrier, Tariq Adam and Grantis Caracas. And you're absolutely spot on when you said that there, Tapello, about Valentin Barrier's second half pace. We've seen it over the past couple of rounds here. It's been absolutely stellar, whether that's been at Spa or Bathurst or Kota. He really does come alive in the second half. He does a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work in the first half, but he really, really makes it count in this final half an hour.
Yeah, it's one of those, dare I say, interesting kind of things that happen in a race. We've spoken about Valentin Berry, just how they start a race, they're solid. They might not make the most positions going forward, maybe 1 or 2, then they seem to hold, maintain. Last 25 minutes, they get that second wind of pace. And that is a very, very good thing to have as a racing driver, because what usually happens is a lot of guys get fatigued and they get slower in the last part of the race. So if you can have the skill, the wherewithal, the energy to kind of pick up your pace, you're coinciding with when drivers slow down, and that's why Valentin Barrier tends to make a lot of passes in the second half of the race, and that's how they get their position. And currently sitting in P5, very close to P4, you have to say they are one of the cars to watch as we wind down this race that has been very, very interesting. With the 18 minutes to go, they're one of the cars to watch.
going to be a very, very interesting end to the race there. Sasha Vassler takes the slightly scenic route around the right-hander at Druids there, outbreaking themselves a little bit, and so does Ronaldo Bursma coming through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, as we're back to the fight for second and third position here between Noah Eder and Abe Santima. Now, this is the thing here, is that these two are in a battle. Now, if they start slowing each other up, this could allow the pack behind to catch up. It'd have to be a hell of a moment for these two here, and I can't really see that happening. But Noah Eder, we have to kind of talk about it here, Tapello, but Noah Eder, had some really strong words to say about George Boothby last week. And the thing is, with all these drivers, doing week in, week out, racing against each other, it's very, very easy for tempers to flare and for grudges to be formed.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a confidence thing, right? You expect a certain thing to happen on circuit, as we see there, Grantis Caracas going for an overtake. But just to get back to point, yes, Noah Eder is expecting a certain level of driving from the rest of the grid. And what was happening there is these guys are really competitive with each other. And that's kind of what we saw boil over in the post-race interview. It's that competitiveness, it's that drive to succeed, and maybe being felt a bit of the racing was over the line. Caught me by surprise for sure, but it just further accentuated that these guys are still as competitive as ever, and they are really motivated to maximize on where they can finish and get the results that they want. So that was just racing drivers being racing drivers and showing their competitive edge.
Again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for that slight loss in the action there. We did see a fight between Tariq Adam and Grantis Caracas that was happening a little bit earlier on. When we can return to the live action on circuit, we will, and here we are then, as George Boothby there still in the lead of the race. Nothing's changed there. Abe Santima still still giving the pressure to Noah Eder, but Grantis Caracas did get a position from Tariq Adam. However, it does look like that Tariq Adam has got that position back. The two of them have fallen back significantly, so I wonder if there's been a little bit of contact. Now, obviously, because of those connection issues, we won't be able to bring you a replay of that, but either way, we kind of focus on what we've got in front of us just now. Tommy Rozier and Valentin Barrier, they're still having a cracking little fight. So we've got three separate fights of two cars each, and then you've also got a brilliant little fight for 8th, 9th and 10th as well here. So brilliant battles going on all the way through the order here, and you get the feeling that that somebody's going to end up not very happy from tonight here, Tapello.
Yeah. We're seeing a battle for position on circuit. We're seeing a battle to defend, a battle to attack, and this is what we love to see. And one thing I always like watching, especially when as we focus here with Abe Santima and Noah Eder, is just the alternate lines that the guy behind takes, as we see a brilliant run from Abe Santima out of that corner. I was just about to talk about a different line that the guy behind can take just to see where they go. So I think Noah Eder just ran, it wasn't even that wide, it looked solid, but a different line by Abe Santima. And as I really was going to make the point about different lines that the guy behind can take, there you saw the advantage of a different line and just the difference in speed and confidence that Abe Santima had in that corner. That was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you kind of missed it, but if you would focus, you just saw the last glimpse of that move as I was speaking. I just saw it happen, and it just switched over. So apologies again. We're trying to rectify the issue on our side. Not much we can do, but we'll try to give you as good a breakdown as we can with just having gremlins this side. So unfortunately, these things happen.
Talking of gremlins, I've noticed a little strange little graphical. It's to do with the paint and just a little blemish there, but you can see like a little red part on the left-hand side of Abe Santima's car there, and then it disappears halfway when the camera gets closer to it. I've never noticed that graphical issue before. Grantis Caracas, so still on the back of Tariq Adam. Any hope at getting up into the top 3 is done. Any hope at getting up to the top 4 is pretty much down the drain as well. I mean, could possibly try and do it here, but yeah, I can't see it happening here. 13 minutes left to go. And George Boothby in the lead, Abe Santima in second place, Noah Eder in third, Tommy Rozier in fourth position, Valentin Barrier in fifth, Tariq Adam in sixth, doing a grand job there at holding off the charging Grantis Caracas, Ronaldo Bursma in eighth position, Sasha Vassner in ninth, and then Luke Addison in 10th. That's your top 10 for round number 10 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. So, Noah Eder, it did look like that was a mistake coming out of Stirling, and that handed the position there to Pello to Abe Santima, who now can kind of just think about stretching away a little bit. I wonder if Noah Eder maybe just took a little bit too much out of the tyres and thought, you know, just let it go. It's not going to happen here.
Yeah, it's one of those difficult things to call, right? It's late in the race. Like we're saying, some guys get a bit fatigued. They start to make those little mistakes, going offline, going a bit wide out of corners. And if you can keep your wits about you to maximize in those situations, then you get to see what happens right there. But just to, as we have right here in focus, the battle between Tariq Adam and Grantis Caracas, I genuinely think there's really not much wrong that Grantis Caracas has done this race. Their charge kind of fell off, and I'm saying fell off in the vaguest way possible, simply because, as you pointed out, David, earlier on, the pace from everyone after the pit stops, everyone had a really strong pace after their pit stop. So I think that neutralized the field and kind of diminished the advantage that Grantis Caracas had. So that's just the way the race pans out sometimes. But for sure, this has been an impressive recovery drive from Grantis Caracas to get back in P7, challenging for P6 after that opening lap incident. So they can be confident and quite impressed with themselves with the way they've performed here. But you know, these races are super competitive. They want to finish as high as possible. So they will still feel hard done by, but there is a lot to take from this performance and this drive for Grantis Caracas.
I could not agree more with you. I think that's the whole thing that we've been banging on about all season here to Pello, is it's the Kaizen philosophy of execute, analyse, deconstruct, and then do it better next time. It's that constant cycle. It's never just one race after the other. It's a season of growth, of development, of change for all these drivers, and I think they'll very much be proud of what they've put in for this season. Certainly we're watching Noah Eder here still chasing back down onto Abe Santima, trying to get that position back, but again I do wonder if those tyres and maybe have given up the ghost from Noah Eder. Driver of the day vote for just now, the nominees are George Boothby, Abe Santima, Grantis Caracas and Ronaldo Bursma. Tapello, who is your driver of the day and why?
You know, in the past couple of races, I've had a different outlook, tried to call the outlier. But in tonight's race, I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, but for me, I cannot fault what George Boothby is doing on that circuit. He has owned Brands Hatch. He's been impervious. Nothing can happen. Nothing is phasing him. 13 seconds ahead of Abe Santima in P2. Just perfection. If ever there was a race performance that you can call perfect, that is exactly what George Boothby has done tonight. So he for sure is a slam dunk driver of the day for me. But trust me, there are some impressive performances out there on circuit, and I know David Christie is chomping at the bits to give us a different view.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Grantis Caracas for me is my driver of the day, just for that recovery drive. George Boothby has had an amazing performance, absolutely no two ways about it, but the determination and the absolute guts shown to come from second last to come up to P7 it is a very, very hard fought battle going on there between the two of them, and it's still going on, to be honest with you. He might get sixth position, but Valentin Barrier is also fallen completely off the back of Tommy Rozier. So Rozier is up to P4. Barrier is now down to P5 and fallen down very, very quickly. So actually, Genisus Caracas could find himself up to considerably, fifth position in the final 8 minutes of the race.
Yeah, and we've seen Genisus be confident, especially when they're very close and they're seeing those cars in their view, how close they can be. So it's all about those moves that they pulled in that first half of this race. And when Genisus Caracas is confident, the moves just keep on coming. And one thing I've enjoyed seeing, as I was talking about those different lines, is just how confident Genisus Caracas is in the braking zones and just how they can manipulate that car to try and sneak a move in. So that will be very interesting to see.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes to see how that is all going to pan out, and we're going to be here every moment of the way. 7 minutes and 45 seconds there. Noah Ader still fighting for that third position. Here comes Genisus Caracas, has a little look up to the right-hander there of Paddock Hill Bend. Can't quite make that happen. Is it going to be a late lunge? I don't think it is going to be. Coming through the right-hander up the hill, down again at Druids, coming down into Graham Hill Bend here. We're watching Valentin Barrier here, just ahead of Tariq Adam and Genisus Caracas. And again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for the connection issues. We will get them resolved as soon as we possibly can, but there's only 7 minutes left to go here. It does look like it's fairly much in the bag for George Boothby. Abe Santima still trying to hold on to that position from Noah Ader, and Tommy Rozier in 4th, Valentin Barrier in 5th position, Tariq Adam in 6th. Now, that's the big question mark for me here, Sapello, is Tariq Adam in that 6th position, because he wants to gamble and take that 5th position from Valentin Barrier, but then Genisus Caracas also behind him, chomping at the bit to take that position away.
And how often have we seen a situation where the third guy in a battling pack is the one that gets the move done, one that gets the double overtake, as the other guys kind of struggle to place themselves? Do I attack? Do I defend? And that might happen for Genisus Caracas, just getting that move, maybe down the inside, maybe out down the outside, but it usually tends to happen for the guy with the best view, which is the third guy in a battling pack. But I don't want to toot my own horn. We know the curse of the commentator, fingers and toes crossed, touch wood, whatever your superstition is. I am very impressed with Tommy Rozier. Kind of ran their own race, had their own pace, and I think they've kind of solidified and they're holding on to P4, so that will be a strong finish. But as we see, Tariq Adam is now behind Genisus Caracas, so Caracas did get the move done, and wherever they got the move done, it just gave Valentin Barrier a bit of an opportunity to pull away. But it still seems like with 5 minutes to go, is it still possible for Genisus Caracas? I'll see how they finish this lap in terms of pace, but they've got the move on Tariq Adam done, so it is Valentin Barrier next in the sights of Genisus Caracas. So again, Christy, your drive of the day still proving that they still have that drive, that determination to try and get as high as possible up the finishing grid, and now sitting in P6.
Yeah, also confirmation that the tyres on Noah Ader's car are cooked. That's now 2.1 seconds of a gap to Abe Santima. He was charging hard, trying to get that position back, but unfortunately that is not going to come out to anything just now. 5 minutes left to go in the race here, and George Boothby still in the lead then by a very, very handsome margin over Abe Santima. It's been a dominant performance there, but 14.5 seconds was the gap last time round for Boothby over Abe Santima, and a very, very handy boost to the championship as it goes over 15 seconds now. But again, all eyes on that battle for 5th and 6th position. I think that will kind of even itself out. And Barry coming under pressure though from Genisus Caracas, 8/10 of a second though. The question is then, if Barry is able to be done, could Tommy Rozier, because he's only 1.5 seconds up the road from there? Surely that's too much with 4 minutes to go. That's going to be what, 3 laps left to go in this race.
Sorry about that. We're seeing those situations where, look, 4 minutes to go left in the race. There's about a second and a half between the drivers that we're kind of focusing on. So it's becoming, we're on the edge of, do we see a move coming? we see drivers holding as we see Sime Forge just going wide, and that's maybe just a sign that the race is running down to an end. We're seeing those little mistakes, running wide on exits of corners, but no harm done. They still held their position, they still got the pace, and they're still following from Lovering. So that will still be interesting. But here, as we go back to the front with Grantis Caracas looking very, very close now to Valentin Berrier, and looking at just the way it pans out, Grantis Caracas has been very confident at Paddock Hill Bend. That's been where they've been able to make up a lot of time on the cars in front. I've noticed it a few times already in this race, David, and I noticed it again just now. They seem to have found a really good line that allows them to maintain that pace, keep the run through, and by the time they get to turn 2, which is Druids, they really made up a lot of time on the car in front. So Grantis Caracas are putting on a lot of pressure on Valentin Berrier, and I think we might see an overtake in this lap if Grantis Caracas can still maintain this pace.
Well, I think it's going to have to be either now or never, basically. Tommy Rozier's the seconds up the road after these two just now. Your race leader comes across the line to start lap number 41. So this is going to be the penultimate lap of the race. We'll get another one in after this one. And that will be the final lap next time by for George Boothby. So we've got 2 laps left to go, and whatever's left on this one here. So Caracas looking to get a good run out. He's got the run on that Aston Martin on the start-finish straight. Then it's going to be down to that right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend. What can Grantis Caracas do? Again, tucks in late, so he gets a good run out. Coming up to Druids, is it going to be a dart to the outside? No, it's not. Decides to keep it nice and proper coming into that corner there, putting a lot of pressure onto Valentin Berrier. Are we going to see another late dive coming through that left-hander here? I think it might be as we go towards Surtees for the penultimate time. No, Caracas just decides to pull out of it. The two of them still catching up onto Tommy Rozier here. So a minute and a half left to go, and your race leader now coming up towards Clark's for the penultimate time to start the final lap here, Tapelo.
Yeah, dominant performance, 16 seconds ahead for George Boothby. Just a victory lap at this point, right? They don't need to push that hard. They just need to maintain their pace. And a brilliant performance as George Boothby finally starts that last lap of the race. Brilliantly done, streaming ahead, run their own race. But as we know, there's still a lot to play for behind George Boothby as they take that final lap. There's still a battle going on between Valentin Berrier and Grantis Caracas, so there's still positions to be made. And just looking at the timing sheets on the side, Sasha Vassner is also under pressure from Ronaldo Bersma, so quite a few positions to play for on this last lap. Will we see some overtakes? Will we see positions held? But interestingly enough, the battle still goes on between Valentin Berrier and Grantis Caracas. Again, Grantis Caracas very, very close under braking. Such is the strength of the Ferrari when they get on the brakes. But the Aston Martin so far has been able to get a very good getaway out of the corners, and that's just allowing them to keep that position. But Valentin Berrier is close. Grantis Caracas goes down the inside, going for the move. No contact so far, and that is brilliantly done from Grantis Caracas, getting that line oh so perfect, sweetly done. That is how you do it. That is how you position a car to get an overtake, and a lot of respect given by Valentin Berrier holding onto the line. And ladies and gentlemen, do not forget the driver of the day poll that is still up. As I've already said, I'm still giving it to George Boothby. My co-commentator David Christie has said it is Grantis Caracas, and Grantis Caracas just put another point in there to solidify that driver of the day with a very, very good overtake on Valentin Berrier, David.
Yeah, he certainly did. And George Boothby then taking the race win from Abe Santima, 17.1 seconds, round 10 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship in the bag. Noah Ader comes in third. It's going to be a fourth place for Tommy Rozier, but what a recovery drive. Grantis Caracas manages to get up to fifth position. Valentin Berrier in sixth. Tariq Adam in seventh. Sasha Vassner in eighth position. Ronaldo Bersma with a fantastic drive in ninth. Luke Addison in 10th position. Then it's Albin Manson, Skylar Lovrink, Samir Foch, Zakari Lettinen, Christian Duploy, Clifford, Noel Hache, David Hill and Roland Stein. rounding out your 19 finishing cars. Dennis Vietschork deciding that enough is enough, and he wasn't taking any part of the race. So, 28 points lost from George Boothby to Grantis Karakis. As there we go, that is going to be Roland Stein coming across the line. He is 2 laps behind David Hill. So there we go. That is all the cars over the line. Not the race that I think Grantis Karakis would have wanted in terms of the championship. A fantastic performance there. Lights to flag victory for George Boothby. And realistically there, Tapello, there is absolutely nothing better that George Boothby could have done there.
No, I've spoken about this. I called it perfect, which is a very, very heavy title to throw around. But you look at the pace, you look at the precision, you look at just how they managed their gap, and at the fact that George Boothby ended up elongating that gap in the front. There's nothing you can ask for. But again, a word of congratulations has to go to Grantis Karakis for that brilliant recovery drive in oh so difficult conditions. Really getting hit, not really in their control, but it is all about mindset and how you bounce back from such a moment, and that's what they've done brilliantly tonight.
Certainly is. So we wait for the drivers to come and have a chat with us. Of course, we'll be having a chat with George Boothby, Abe Santima and Noah Eder in tonight. They'll be in very, very shortly indeed. And I think they'll have quite a few things to say. But let's bring in the man of the moment, George Boothby. George, congratulations. Another win for the championship. And it seems to be a pattern with yourself. If you get ahead by the first corner into lap 1, then you're away with it. But if you're held up in P2 or P3, then it's usually a little bit of a fight there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The car was a little bit underbopped here, so it definitely gave the Ferraris an advantage. I think the bop was a little bit funny overall, to be honest. But yeah, the Ferrari definitely had a bit of an advantage here. So hold my hands up, that definitely helped me out here. But you still got to do what you got to do, right? And you can have the best bop in the world, but if you don't put in the lap, then you don't get the results. So I was glad to get P1, and obviously Grant has got taken out straight away, so I thought we were going to have a really good battle like we've been having these past few weeks, but yeah, I don't know if it was his fault or someone else's fault. I haven't really checked yet, but it just looked like he got murdered, so I just needed to sort of do my laps, make the gap and just go for as many points as I could, so I did like a massive overcut so I can go for purple, because that's also points in this championship, and just do what I can to get as many points as possible.
Now, obviously, championship-wise, your main rival, Grantis Karakis, losing around about 28 points to you tonight. That's going to be a nice little boost, as well as taking the race win with just 2 rounds left to go. I mean, it's still super, super close, but any little advantage you can get will be greatly appreciated, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the next few rounds, I do feel quite comfortable with the tracks I really like, especially this one as well we've just had. So, yeah, I think if I get a really good result tomorrow, next week even, then I might not need to stress about the last round. So we'll just see how it goes, But yeah, Valencia's the next round. I absolutely love that track, and I'm just going to do what I always do, just go out full send and hopefully get a good result.
Well, hearty congratulations as always. Anybody else that you want to say hello to or give thanks to tonight?
Yeah. Also, you guys, all the people watching as well, and yeah, all the chat. They make it, right. The people coming in and watching and having a laugh. So, and obviously Veloce, because Veloce are my team and they support me for everything. And yeah, so I'm just looking forward to the next round, and I guess I'll catch you guys hopefully next week if it all goes well.
Excellent. Fingers crossed. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you next week, George.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
There we go then, George Boothby, and what an awesome little chat that was. So next up we've got Abe Santima, I believe, and I think Tapello, he's down to have a chat with you.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a while, but Abe, fantastically well done. Another podium for you in a very, very good season for you this far. How does that feel?
Hello. Yeah, thank you. It's felt pretty good. The season hasn't been that great though, but this was a nice race.
Yeah, look, you looked very confident, and I was looking at that battle between you and Noah Ada, just you getting that overtake, coming in clutch when it mattered. How did that feel for you?
Yeah, he made a mistake in front of me, and I could just go through completely free. So it was very nice, very easy.
Well, I like that. And how confident are you for the last 2 remaining rounds of the season? Some of the tracks, we go to Valencia, then to Silverstone. Feeling confident, feeling worried about one of them?
They're both pretty good tracks for me. I don't know if it's gonna be another podium or not. I don't think so, but we'll see.
No, I love it. You just need to keep pushing. But again, anyone you want to say thank you to your supporters, because I'm sure there's someone who has to get some love from you tonight.
Obviously, I want to thank my mom once again. And the team, Genesis team, has also been really supportive, so thanks for that.
No, thank you. And again, a fantastic result. P2 in tonight's race. Brilliantly done. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Well, there we go. So Abe Santima having a quick chat with us there, and a man of many words. So we'll move on and have a chat with third place driver Noah Ater. Noah, thankfully we've got a restraining order with you and George after last week, but you were having a great fight with Abe there, and unfortunately just lost out in the end.
Yeah, Santema had a really great pace, and I did a mistake, and he took it for his advantage, and then he overtook me. But it was really I was not afraid or something like that, because he had a really great pace, so well deserved.
And for yourself, obviously, is there anything you could have done with the race differently, or is that are you happy with the result that you got?
No, I'm quite happy, because I was lucky in T1, because Vichok crashed into Caritas, so I was instantly P3. Then I did an undercut, then I got P2. And but overall, I'm really happy with that result. Podium is always nice to have.
It certainly is, and obviously 2 rounds left to go in the championship, so we wish you the best of luck with that. Noah, do you have anybody that you want to say thank you to tonight at all?
Yeah, to all the viewers, to my chat, because my mod has birthday, so congratulations to him. And
Excellent stuff. Well, happy birthday to Noah's mod. Hope you have a fantastic day. Hope Noah buys you at least some beers and a couple of cakes as well. But Noah, thank you very much, and congratulations on third place.
Yeah, thanks.
There we go then. Noah Ader rounding out our top 3 for tonight. And well, Tapelo, any final thoughts?
Well, final thoughts is the quality of racing towards the end of the season is looking so solid that every week we're looking forward to another brilliant race, more competition, more moves on circuit, more overtakes, more speed, more precision, more everything. So I'm excited. I hope you are, and I hope the viewers will be tuning in to these final 2 races of the season.
Well, that is exactly what we are going to be hoping. Same time, same place next week, ladies and gentlemen, where we head to Spain for Valencia for the penultimate rounds of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. But on behalf of myself, David Christie, Tapelo Merioli, and joining me here in the commentary box, a huge thank you to our broadcast producer of Daniel Costello behind the wheel tonight. Thank you very much for that. And thank you to you at home as well for watching, and everybody involved here at the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. We'll see you next time, next week at the same time, same place. See you soon.